Hi, I'm Deborah Dahab, expat coach and intercultural psychologist. Today we're going to talk about managing transitions. Now, I'm going to use a concept that I learned in a book by William Bridges, and here's the book. It's going to be opposite. It's going to be mirror faced, but it's called Managing Transitions from William Bridges. I will put the link so you can have access to the book. I have no affiliate relationship with him. It's just a book that I found really useful for my own experience, and I think it can be useful for you. So, some of the concepts that I will talk about today are from this book, and I'm putting a little bit of my own reflections in the middle. So, I hope you enjoy it. Subscribe and comment. I'd love to hear your comments. And let's get to it. So, managing transitions. According to William Bridges, there are three phases in a transition. And two are pretty obvious, right? The beginning and the end. And something that really struck me when I found it really like a different perspective is that in his view, there is a phase in the middle called the neutral phase. And I thought that was a very impactful concept, especially because he goes on to talk about how we neglect this phase and we usually go about either being nostalgic of what happened and what went by, or looking forward to starting a new phase and trying to rush the process. And I identified myself in many transitions, location or otherwise, other transitions that I've been through. And so I was trying to, how can we put this in the context of cultural transitions? So one of the characteristics of the neutral zone is that the concept is that nothing happens. It's that kind of void. In yoga, we have also a concept when we're breathing that there is this moment of non-breath or of emptiness, right? And we tend to hold, for example, our lungs with no air. So I kind of put together my different references and thought that this neutral zone would be something like that, of nothingness. So you're neither in the past, you're neither in the future, and basically it would be the concept of the present, right? So I don't want to get too philosophical right here, but the neutral zone I found that can be a very useful phase. In his book, he talks a bit about that, and I recommend you reading the book. So the neutral phase is a phase where you haven't started anything yet and you've finished something, right? So that's the concept. And what happens in our cultural transitions? Like, we make the decision, we prepare, we organize, and then we move, and something happens in between. Let's call it the neutral zone. And then at one point we start settling in and we start getting acquainted with the environment and, being able to navigate through the new culture. So there is a point in time during our transitions, our cultural transitions, that there is this neutral zone. There is this moment where you're no longer in your old or home country or previous culture, and you're still yet not completely immersed or settled in your new culture, in your new environment. So when we look at these two phases, there is a hiatus, so to speak, or a moment or a time, a period of time or a phase, as he puts it, where it's neutral. And one of the things that I've worked with some clients, and they have found it really interesting, and I did it with myself, is, first of all, being clear on the end of the past phase. We many times tend to linger on with our feelings and nostalgic, and it will depend, of course, on how you made the decision, what motivated you, what reasons you had to move. Each case is going to be different, but ultimately there is a move, right? There is a going from one place to the other. And then there is this period where you can take advantage of it. And how do I suggest people take advantage of this neutral zone in the context of a cultural transition? So in this phase, I recommended my clients to think about 2 or 3 things from their previous life in the previous country, in the previous culture, that they really didn't like, they didn't enjoy, that basically drained their energy, that didn't bring them that happiness, that, didn't make them feel energetic. And list those 2. And this is something I'm going to suggest, an exercise suggest you do as well. If you're going through this phase or preparing to go through this phase, or even if you've had already moved, there's still time to think about it, even though you might not be in the neutral zone anymore. So this neutral zone is a time to think about what I didn't like in the past. What type of people drained my energy? What type of work drained my energy? What environments drained my energy? What activities drained my energy? Just list 2 or 3. It doesn't have to be, a laundry list. And then think about 2 or 3 activities, people, environments, habits, foods, anything that energized you, that gave you energy, that gave you that oomph to, get going and get things done, and write them down. So in this neutral zone is the perfect time that you can think about, what do I want to eliminate from my life? And that would be the first list of things that drained your energy, and you do not want to reproduce that in your new reality. You want to eliminate that. And your second list is of things that you want to incorporate in your new life. Now, some things are going to be easier than others, right? Especially if you're physically in a different place. So imagine your Energize list has to do with family that is not going to be around. How can you incorporate family even though physically they're not there? Well, you can schedule Skype calls or FaceTime in a consistent manner. Create a routine of it. You can have pictures of these people in your home. You can, go back to writing letters and posting them. And, the joy of receiving a written letter is amazing. And we've lost that. And you can cherish it as a piece of paper that it's written and signed with love. And it can be, normal stuff. It doesn't have to be a love letter, but just something that you can cherish and it's not electronic, like an email. So you can think of other things that you can do to keep important people in your life. Now, imagine that your incorporate list has to do with routines. For example, many people say, I want to incorporate in my life something that I started doing, for example, was meditation, and I want to continue doing that. Well, how do you do that? You create an environment and you create space, for example, by putting it on your calendar and showing that you are not available for 15 minutes during lunchtime, for example, and you're going to do your meditation, your daily meditation, or your 3 times a week meditation. You establish the rules and you follow through. The important thing is that in this process and this concept of neutral zone, it's a time that we take to reflect, to think about what makes us, happy, energized, and what drains our energy. So you can consciously eliminate what doesn't work for you and incorporate what makes your heart really sing. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you do this exercise and comment. Let me know what things that you eliminated and things that you decided to incorporate. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.